Oh, blessed be the name of the Lord. Guys, I'm glad I'm back. Oh my goodness, so much been happening, guys. Since Friday gone, I did a last video. I'm telling you. Anyway, family stuff, you know, was out today a while though in the sunshine. Really met a real homeless guy side the road. It was really funny. One homeless guy was playing music, you know, to get people to give him money for his family. And it was another man side the road. I would have thought he was an angel because he was just standing there. He didn't have a sign up or nothing. But we were out today a little while. And I'm here to do another video because so much is happening. I did send a prayer request out this morning for some of you about a man, a 6-year-old boy. He was threatening to kill himself, his family, and some schools or something like that. So they asked for people to pray about it. So we've been praying for him. I sent it out to many of you today to get prayers over this family and over this kid, that they would get some help for him. They say he had been in and out of psychotropic hospitals or whatever, but he's been, you know, into that world. And a lot of people out here are on these kind of drugs and other drugs. And we need to be praying for our nation, praying for our families, praying for whoever, because it is just a crazy world. I am glad they caught the guy in Texas. I was praying about him all this week, and I was really happy to know they found him or caught him last night. Somebody in a closet somewhere, I don't know, but I'm glad they got him off the street. Got him off the street. So we're going to get on over into some news, but first I'm going to get into a song by miYah, one of my favorite songs that I like so much for prophecy, my prophecy song, Mystery Babylon. So we're going to be getting into Dave Hodges today, World News today, Lewis in Florida, you be ready. Stan Johnson got 2 materials out that I'm going to try to share a part of each one of them, okay? And Pastor Dowell and Boo 77. So we have a lot of things, and we also have Dina, her ministry, CWW7 News. And so I have a lot of material for you today. We're going to be talking about the money. Everybody's talking about the dollar and the money, and also about this brother here, Charles. You know, this is King Charles. This came from a friend and a subscriber, and she one of my real good nighttime people that we chat all the time at night. And so thank you so much for this, Ann. This is a church that was given this track out, giving tracks out with King Charles on the front of it. And it said on the back, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, during the coronation, King Charles honors the Bible, in which God promised to destroy death. So to understand how he destroyed death, answer these questions. So they give you all these questions about salvation and all the blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through it, but it's coming from livingwaters.com, and they using this, guys, as a track, okay? And they got King Charles on there. But we're going to be going into a little bit from Revelation 13 today. We're going to Revelation 13. So I'm just happy that we are seeing all these things come to pass all before our eyes. So I better get started. We're going to be getting into Revelation 13, and we're going to end the video with Maranatha, Satan Personates Christ, part 1. And so I'm going to go ahead over here now and get a song going on. But before I do that, let me get into my download Gene's free eBible from lulu.com, smashwords.com, scribd.com, fmcmi.org. Read the Son of Man Bible PDF for free. Download the Son of Man Bible computer Bible modulars free. Download free at biblesupport.com and wordmodulars.com. And also click subscribe, the like bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the like button, click the notification bell. Fair use notice is in front of you. Also Title 17, and then disclaimer. and also FBI notice. So, you know, I hope you guys having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. It's kind of really nice here in Colorado today. We was really enjoying the day in the 70s and really nice weather today. So let me go ahead and start off with Mystery Babylon by miYah. Let me go ahead and mute it out right now. Okay.
Judgment is coming upon the land. In 1 hour, she will not stand. The Father wonders in His word. Prepare for famine, fire, and the sword. They shall weep from afar as the merchants realize none are left to buy their merchandise. Power is given to the beast to bring torture, death, and disease. It's time to fall upon your face and pray. Turn from your wicked and worldly ways. Come out from among her, my people, before it's too late. Come out from her, my people, lest you share in her fate. In her heart she says, I am queen. But in heaven, that's not how she's seen. The bridegroom's coming for his bride. He's looking for those who are purified, washed in the blood of the Lamb. There's a remnant who shall stand, and they will have the law and the testimony. For if they speak not according to the law and the testimony, there is no truth in them. And they sing the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb. Shimmy-la-la, shimmy-la-la.
TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Palestinian Islamists launch over 104 rockets and mortar shells toward Israel's southern communities, drawing 2 subsequent waves of IDF aerial strikes against Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad targets in the Gaza Strip. Following extensive mediation efforts, Egypt managed to reinstate a fragile ceasefire along the Gaza-Israel front. The United States and European Union separately condemned the rocket fire against Israel, while the latter urged all sides to exercise utmost restraint. A ceasefire appears to have taken hold between Israel and the Islamist Palestinian factions in the Gaza Strip after 24 hours of severe hostilities. Tensions rapidly escalated yesterday after Hader Adnan, an incarcerated leader of the Iranian proxy Palestinian Islamic Jihad, evidently died in an Israeli prison after an 86-day hunger strike. Upon receiving the news of Adnan's death, the Iranian proxy Palestinian Islamic Jihad, a designated terror organization which is listed by the European Union, UK, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Japan, the United States, and Israel, pledged to exercise revenge against the Jewish state regarding the suicide.
The occupation bears full responsibility, and we will carry out our role in confronting those crimes and those assaults, in particular this crime which led to the martyrdom of Sheikh, hero Kader Adnan.
During the early hours of yesterday morning, 3 rockets were initially launched toward Israel's southern communities. As a result, at approximately 3:15 p.m., IDF tanks opened retaliatory fire toward observation posts along the Gaza-Israel border, while in tandem, the IDF spokesperson's unit instructed residents of the town of Sderot and Gaza periphery communities to remain near protected bomb shelters. Roughly 15 minutes thereafter, at 36 minutes after 3, Palestinian militants launched a total of 22 rockets from the Gaza Strip toward Israeli territory. While 4 incoming projectiles were successfully intercepted, 2 rockets managed to penetrate Israel's aerial defense array, exploding near residential structures, while 16 rockets exploded in uninhabited areas.
I went out with my son to the supermarket area and received messages that residents of the areas surrounding Gaza should be close to fortified rooms. I realized something was going to happen, so I packed everything, took my child, and on my way home, we didn't hear the sirens. We heard explosions and then the sirens. On the way, we got nervous. My son ducked and I embraced him to protect him. During this time, I didn't know where to go. I saw that the rocket fell here. I saw how it fell. First the rocket came, then we heard sirens. You don't even have time to run to the fortified room. I have been in Sderot for 30 years. 21 years I remember experiencing rockets. I don't believe this will be resolved. The solution is to wipe out all of Gaza, to wipe out all of Palestine. This is the only solution.
While a tense choir lingered, at approximately 12 minutes after 8 p.m., rocket alert sirens sounded once more throughout southern Israel, forcing roughly 200,000 Israelis into bomb shelters within the IDF Homefront Command's instructed 15 seconds. In tandem, Palestinian residents of Gaza, fearing Israel's response to sporadic rocket fire that persisted during the successive hours, sought shelter in their respective homes.
As you can see, the situation is very bad. There are airstrikes and people are scared. We are shop owners and all shops are closed. The whole country is closed. I usually leave at midnight, but today we closed our shops at around 9 or 8 as a result of the tension in the country.
While the Palestinian terror groups continued to indiscriminately launch rockets toward Israel's southern communities, at 4 minutes after 11 p.m., IDF fighter jets launched a wave of aerial strikes against military infrastructure belonging to the Islamist Hamas organization. Among others, a military post, weapons storage facility, weapon manufacturing site, and a training facility were completely destroyed. In tandem, 2 weapon manufacturing sites belonging to the weapon production headquarters of Hamas, alongside other sites that are utilized for the construction of subterranean infrastructure, including an underground terror tunnel in the southern Gaza Strip, were struck as well. Meanwhile, the Islamist Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad ratcheted up their rocket fire toward Israel, with several dozens of rockets launched toward Israel's southern civilian communities. Consequently, at 14 minutes after 2 a.m., IDF fighter jets and helicopters struck a military compound that served as a training camp for the operatives of the production line of the Islamist Hamas organization, as well as a weapons warehouse and 2 military compounds which also belong to Hamas. Moreover, additional subterranean infrastructure alongside naval outposts were also subject to aerial attacks. Meanwhile, following extensive back-channel negotiations via Egyptian mediation, the Palestinian terror groups in Gaza relayed to Israel their keen interest to reinstate a ceasefire. Consequently, at 10 minutes before 4 a.m. this morning, Egyptian television networks cited Egyptian intelligence sources as confirming that a ceasefire has been agreed upon and that it was due to go into effect at 4 a.m. And while military officials confirmed to TV7 that Israel would uphold to the Egyptian brokered arrangement, merely 2 minutes after 4 a.m., Palestinian Islamists launched a barrage of rockets toward Khof Ashkelon Regional Council, where one projectile exploded in a courtyard outside of a private residence. Thankfully, no injuries were reported despite heavy damage to the residential structure. Subsequently, at approximately 5:26 a.m., another single rocket was fired toward the Gaza periphery communities in Israel. Nevertheless, it exploded in an uninhabited area, and no injuries were thankfully reported. Subsequently, the IDF Home Front Command announced that civilians in Israel could go about their daily affairs normally today and that schools would be open, signaling confidence that the ceasefire would indeed hold. All in all, over 104 rockets and mortar shells were fired out of the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip since the first barrage yesterday morning until the last rocket earlier today. And while the majority of the incoming projectiles were either intercepted by Israel's aerial defense array or landed in uninhabited areas, 5 rockets exploded in populated zones, including one projectile that struck the town of Sderot at a construction site, where, as a result, 3 foreign nationals from China sustained injuries. They were evacuated to nearby hospitals, where one was diagnosed in moderate condition, while the 2 others were treated for light injuries. In contrast, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Agari noted that in 2 attack waves, the IDF struck 16 targets belonging to the Islamist Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad organizations. Nevertheless, there were apparently no Palestinian casualties in any of the Israeli strikes. Meanwhile, in Washington, U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel was asked by a Palestinian reporter whether the Biden administration had any view on the death of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad operative Adnan Hader, who was referred to by the reporter as a Palestinian political prisoner rather than a terrorist for which he was apprehended.
Our view is that we have a deep respect for human rights and believe that all individuals, including prisoners, should be treated humanely. What I will also note, Saeed, is the Palestinian Islamic Jihad is a designated foreign terrorist organization. And as we have seen with today's rocket attacks, this group continues to advance violence.
Similar to the U.S. position, the European Union's Foreign Affairs and Security Policy spokesman, Peter Stano, pointed to the fact that Hader Adnan, who effectively committed suicide by starving himself, was actively affiliated to an EU-designated terror organization.
We take note of the death of Mr. Adnan in the Israeli prison, and he was protesting his indictment for incitement and affiliation with Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which is a terrorist organization. But he argued that this was based on an unfounded evidence.
It is important to highlight that while Hader Adnan indeed pleaded innocence, the following video of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad operative provides ample proof of his sentiments, where he openly called on the RGC Quds Force to strike at Israel and urged Palestinians to carry out suicide bombings and attacks against Israelis.
O Quds brigades, strike a blow. O Quds brigades, shake the earth. Who among you is Hassan Abu Zaid? Who among you is the next suicide bomber? Who among you will carry the next explosives belt? Who among you will fire the next bullets?
Well, this video provides only a glimpse into the public activities of Khaled Adnan. The longtime Palestinian Islamic Jihad operative had served at least 12 consecutive terms in prison for a long list of terror-related activities in his past. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. If you're blessed by our productions and would like to help support TV7 Israel's ongoing operations, which are exclusively donation-based, please consider making a financial contribution. You can do so by visiting our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, I would like to encourage you to unceasingly pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide, as well as for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Essen, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you again tomorrow at the same time.
Welcome back again, everyone. It's Dina Kalmeta here, and for today's show, we are going to explore Bible prophecy as it pertains to the sun. In fact, this is going to be a 3-part series. The first, exploring the sun, and then the moon, and then the stars. And I'm really excited to bring this to you as I love this particular topic in prophecy. But in regard to the sun, there was an article that I have been meaning to bring to you, and it spells out the extraordinary changes that we have been seeing in the sun since the beginning of this year, but most recently in March. And it's absolutely stunning, in fact, how on point it is to prophecy. We are told in Luke 21:25 by Jesus himself that there would be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. And that is exactly what we have been seeing. And so I would like to start with this report, again from Michael Snyder, of the economic collapse, the most important news, and the end of the American dream. Michael, again, is also an author of several books, and I will leave his details below this video. But I just love his articles because he does his research and tells it like it is. So with that said, in this article, he asked the question, what in the world is happening to the sun? Michael goes on to state that we could not survive without the giant ball of fire that our planet revolves around. And so the stability of our sun is the utmost importance. But unfortunately, it has started to behave very erratically lately. Scientists are telling us that they think that everything is just fine. But the truth is that they really don't know. We are witnessing activity that is truly unusual. And I believe that that should deeply alarm all of us. In fact, I am entirely convinced that the behavior of the sun will become a really big story in years ahead. Let me give you an example. Last month, which would have been in February, a portion of the sun's northern pole actually broke off and created a massive polar vortex. The article goes on to read that the sun has been experiencing bizarre behavior recently in February. A piece of its northern pole broke off. A video showed a giant filament of plasma or electrified gas shooting out from the sun, separating and then circulating into a massive polar vortex. While astronomers are baffled, they speculate the prominence has something to do with the reversal of the sun's magnetic field that happens once every solar cycle. And the size of this polar vortex was absolutely astounding. It has been reported that it was 74,500 miles high and 14 times larger than the Earth. It was considered a colossal solar tornado. Now, Michael goes on to ask the question, is this behavior normal? Scientists don't really know because they have never seen anything quite like this before. In fact, a few weeks ago, we witnessed an absolutely colossal coronal mass ejection that traveled away from the sun at a speed at least 3,000 kilometers per second. So late on Monday, March 13th, the sun blasted out a coronal mass ejection, CME, traveling at least 3,000 kilometers per second. So 6,700,000 miles per hour, possibly the fastest ever recorded. The expelled particles reached the Earth's orbit in less than a day. Now, had they hit the Earth, the results could have been catastrophic. But fortunately, the CME was directed almost directly opposite. However, the explosion is a reminder that the next time we may not be so lucky. The coronal mass ejection was so powerful that NASA actually classified it as an R for rare. The good news is that this eruption happened on the far side of the sun. Now, if the Earth had been facing the coronal mass ejection, it could have potentially caused another Carrington event, which was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history, peaking from September 1st to September 2nd in 1859. Now, this event knocked out the internet of that time, with telegraph systems all over Europe and North America failing. In some cases, operators received electric shocks and telegraph pylons through sparks. NASA previously said that a similar storm today could have a catastrophic effect on power grids and telecommunication networks. And scientists assure us that it is just a matter of time before our planet experiences another Carrington event. And such a disaster could literally fry electronics all over the globe. Just imagine, Michael says, what society would look like if the power grid was destroyed and there was suddenly no internet for anyone. Can you imagine the complete and utter chaos that would create? This near miss that we just experienced in March should have made major headlines all over the world, but instead, it only made a minor blip in the news cycle. But someday, we will take a direct hit, and in that moment, everything will change. Now, if we take a walk over to the Watchers website, they record solar activity pretty frequently. And so I'd like to go over just some of these events in the last couple of months. So, for instance, on Monday, May 1st, 2023, a moderately strong M7.1 solar flare erupted. Friday, April 21st, Earth-facing filament eruption produces an M1.7 solar flare and strong CME. On Thursday, March 30th, moderately strong M5.4 solar flare erupts. Wednesday, March 29th, impulsive X1.2 solar flare erupts again. Monday, March 13th, S1 minor solar radiation storm after full halo CME associated with solar activity on the far side. March 3rd, major X2.0 solar flare erupts from region 3234 CME produced at S1. Tuesday, February 28th, 2023, moderately strong M8.6 solar flare erupts. February 25th, long duration M6.3 solar flare erupts. February 24th, long duration M3.7 solar flare erupts. And so on and so forth. You see the point I'm making. So it is obvious that we are seeing extraordinary changes and signs in the sun. But the climax, I believe, will be during the Great Tribulation, as the sun will actually burn anyone who has taken the mark of the beast, or in fact rejected Jesus. For instance, this verse in Revelation chapter 16, verses 8 through 9. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which has the power over these plagues. And they repented not to give him glory.
Kaufman World News Report today. Today is May 3rd, 2023. 2 p.m. Central here in the U.S. God bless you and yours no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. NASA is reporting intensifying solar activity. Sunspot complexes AR3293 and AR3296 are crackling with strong M-class solar flares. 6 of them so far today. The short movie from NASA's Solar Dynamic Observatory includes the strongest of all, an M7 class explosion. Pulses of extreme ultraviolet radiation are causing a rolling series of shortwave radio blackouts around the day side of the Earth. Loss of signal has been greatest over Africa, where ham radio operators may have noticed fade-outs at all frequencies below 30 megahertz. We're going to take a look at the actual data now. You can see AR 3293 and 3296. It's made up of at least 20 sunspots, and I'm sure that any activity from those sunspots would have an Earth component to it, i.e. we did get hit by the X-rays for sure. You can also see that we have new sunspots that have been named that have finally come around the limb. It's going to be a long week. Here we go, folks. May 3rd, you can see how much activity is coming from those sunspots. I actually count 5 M flares. They must be counting this as another M flare. We have another one that peaked out at least 4.34. And this is going to be the 7.35 M flare that should be earthbound with a coronal mass ejection. Starting out, over it goes, solar ultraviolet imager. We can see those sunspots at the end here crackling with activity. This is not one of the major flares here, but you can see that it is still active. We do have that sunspot that was Earth facing yesterday. We should start to see those solar winds start to hit Earth as well. We have an additional sunspot here, and we also saw the newly named sunspots that have come around the limb just overnight. Let's jump over to LASCO C3 and see if we can see anything that may look like a CME coming from any of these large explosions. Moving over to LASCO C3, we see a lot of debris in the picture. We also see that it hasn't been updated. All that you see through there is yesterday's activity. When we get to 3:06 UTC time, they cut the feed with a large CME coming from the 1 o'clock area. They cut the feed for 9 hours. Now that is a heck of a cut right there. 9 hours. We see nothing. Obviously 9 hours have been removed, so we couldn't see anything during those 9 hours, wherein everything occurred within those 9 hours. After that, we have a little bit of data here. I don't see any coronal mass ejections out the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock area of the sun where these sunspots should be located. And they actually removed 2 more hours from here at 1354, a little bit more than that, to 1618. Now we do have a CME coming out, but this is going to be from one of the newly named sunspots here that created coronal mass ejection. They may say that no coronal mass ejection was created by that, M7 class solar flare. They've done it before. And having 6 of them with no coronal mass ejections created would be unbelievable, to say the very least. Let's continue.
My name is Louis, and God bless every single one of you. Today is May 2nd, 2023, and welcome to the GrandSupremeNews channel. Alright guys, so we have some breaking news updates, some very important information coming out. Mr. Burns deploys 1,500 active duty troops to the border. Alright, so we talked about this last night, guys, but the numbers were not released until today May the 2nd, 1500, that's the number. 1500 heading towards the southern area. Now I want to show you guys something really quick. I posted a video late last night. Let me show you really quick. For those of you that missed it, this is the video, which is on the top left. It's trending right now. If you guys missed it, this link right here will be in the comments box. So emergency declared, troops getting ready. So that was posted 14 hours ago, and it's trending right now. The link, like I said, will be in the comments box. And I want to show you something really quick. We talked about this one here. All right, we talked about this one. You have these groups massing 700,000 to 1 million heading towards the sleeping giant. All right, so once the 42 ends, we talking about this one right here. They're coming in. It's gonna be an army. All right, so we do have a lot of information here, guys. We have all the updates. This is gonna be my second video of it. 1,500 active duty are heading towards the southern area. All right, guys, before I start, give the
Today's May 2nd, 2023, 7:30 p.m. Central here in the U.S. God bless you and yours no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, we have what's called title number 42 ending on May 11th, and the Pentagon has just given a press conference about it. We're going to watch that press conference. The Border Patrol tells us that over 1 million immigrants, invaders, whatever you would like to call them, are lined up already. And that's going to be 9 days early at the border. And they expect those numbers to increase tenfold. Biden is sending 1,500 troops to the southern border to deal with the surge of illegal immigrants expected. Not expected. They have pictures of the lines. We're going to watch the press conference. The United States will be sending troops to the southern border with Mexico, the White House has announced on May 2nd. The move was unveiled ahead of an expected surge of illegal immigration as pandemic restrictions, known as Title 42, are set to expire on May 11th. I believe these were originally put into place by President Donald Trump. The southern border has been hammered over the past 2 years. What has happened over the last 2 years? Biden's been in office by an unprecedented influx of illegal immigrants, leaving border control authorities struggling to keep up with limited resources. Pentagon Press Secretary General Pat Ryder confirmed in a Tuesday press conference that the Pentagon will in fact be sending 1,500 U.S. military personnel. I thought they were going to be National Guardsmen until just now, to support Border Patrol and local law enforcement for at least 90 days. These are actual troops at our southern border right now in this picture, preparing for the influx of illegal migrants, illegal aliens, illegal invaders. Let's see what the Pentagon has to say about this. This may be while we're having all these drills here in Houston currently. 5 days of drills in Houston.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a few items to pass along at the top, and then we'll get right to your questions. As some of you may be aware, the Department of Defense released a statement earlier today regarding support to the Department of Homeland Security, which I'll reiterate here from the podium. At the request of the Department of Homeland Security, Secretary Austin approved a temporary Department of Defense increase of an additional 1,500 military personnel to supplement U.S. Customs and Border Protection efforts on the U.S. southwest border. For 90 days, these 1,500 military personnel who will be sourced from the active duty component will fill critical capability gaps such as ground-based detection and monitoring, data entry, and warehouse support until CPB can address these needs through contracted support. Military personnel will not directly participate in law enforcement activities. It's important to note that the department is also evaluating options on how we might replace these deploying forces in stride with other sources, to include potentially forces from the reserve component and contracted support. And while this request is for 90 days, I would point out that DoD has supported DHS on the southwest border for 18 of the last 22 years, and every year since 2006. We'll get to your questions. We'll go to AP Lita Beldor.
Thanks, Pat. Can you say when you expect these troops to arrive at the border, even in a range of days in the coming week, or presumably by May 11th? Would that be accurate? Do you expect these will be active duty troops, or are you going to try to have to pull some from the Guard? And third, in the past, DoD requested that DHS provide quarterly reports updating as to when and how DHS was going to be able to take over these jobs on the border. Is DoD getting these quarterly updates, and is the department confident or concerned that DHS will or won't be able to meet this requirement by the end of the fiscal year?
Yeah, thanks, Lita. So on your first question, right now I think we'll see these troops arrive as early as May 10th, and then in the coming weeks. Again, these will be active duty forces, although as I mentioned at the top, we continue to explore other options so that we could return those active duty forces back to their home stations in stride with potentially reserve component or contracted entities. Again, that's work that we'll continue to do. As far as quarterly reports, I'll have to take that question for you. I can tell you that, as a matter of course, we do regularly communicate with the DHS. And I think, again, we're in a situation here where DHS has requested assistance, and the Department of Defense is assisting on this important issue. So, thank you.
Are you saying, just for clarification, that within this 90-day period,
correct,
you would like to replace, or you will look at replacing some of these active duty troops with National Guard or Reserve, or potentially beyond that?
Exactly. So within that 90-day period, again, we are Secretary Austin has approved the deployment of 1,500 active duty troops, but again, we are looking and evaluating options should we be able to replace those in stride. Okay, Jen, and then we'll go to Will.
Thank you, General Ryder. So just which units will these troops be coming from, and will they be helping with drug enforcement? Because that's what the original executive order from the president said.
Yeah, so in terms of the types of work that they'll be doing, as I highlighted at the top, these will be very much focused on support tasks to CBP. So no, and I'll just leave it at that. I mean what I said. In terms of the specific units, these forces will come from the Army and the U.S. Marine Corps, but I refer you to the services to talk about specific units that will be tasked.
In 2018, just before the midterm elections, President Trump ordered 5,200 U.S. troops to fortify the border. At the time, Democrats and former military officials and officers came out against that, saying they were being used for political reasons. How is this different?
Yeah, so, really my focus here is on talking about what we've been asked to do and what we're doing. Clearly, DHS felt that there was a need for the Department of Defense to assist so that they can continue to do their important work. Secretary Austin approved that request, and so that's what we're focused on. Thank you. Yes, Will.
Thank you. Two questions on the borders. What is the culture there prior to the 1,500 being deployed, and what necessitated this additional deployment now? Was it the changes on May 11th that are coming up, or is there any other reason regarding it?
Yeah, that's correct. So, in light of the changes on May 11th and the anticipated surge, DHS did reach out and request this support. In terms of the number of U.S. military that are there now, there are approximately 2,500 U.S. military who are National Guard forces. They are focused, again, on supporting CBP with detection and monitoring and aviation support. So,
couple non-border questions. Ukraine, are there any PDAs or Ukraine security?
All right, as you can see, they are a bit worried. It doesn't sound like a total of 1,500 troops and 2,500 National Guardsmen would be anywhere near enough personnel to help with what's coming. I also question the use of U.S. military forces and not National Guard here, as I guess this is defense, as in the Department of Defense, but we're actually going to take all these people over the border, find out as much as we can about them, and then release them into the general population to do as they will. Of course, they'll have a notice to appear, which is said to take anywhere from 3 to 7 years to work through. You let me know what you think, but you know what I think, folks. Bizarre. This is treasonous. God bless you and yours. We're the
Okay, guys, I'm gonna try to get going here where I can get into Stan Johnson material. Money, money, money coming up now. All the stuff going on about the money, the banks. I'm gonna try to get into much of it as I can. So I think I'm gonna start with Dave Hodges and get into J.P. Morgan takes over the First Republic Signature Bank by Pastor Dowell and some other people up here talking about the money, and so I think it's over here, the brother here talking about the money. I forget his name now, but anyway, we're gonna just go ahead and get started. Okay, it's just so much going on. Finish up, I mean, not get started, finish up. So let me go ahead and do that now. Let me go ahead and read it out again.
Hello, America. Dave Hodges here, host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always good to come before you. We're going to ask you to do two things so we can take the fight to the enemy. One, subscribe, increase our numbers so we become more of a powerful force. We're already over 200,000. I'd like to get it to 2 million. So let's become that force. Subscribe is the best way to do it. Secondly, we need to wake up the people who are ignorant of politics and no vote name recognition. And the Democrats win that battle every single time because they have the most fun. So what I want you to do is I want you to go, send those videos out to people that need to see them. Don't worry about the results. You know, I didn't believe a tenth of this stuff when I first started hearing it, and I was a victim of it, and I still didn't believe all the ancillary stuff, and I got to tell you something, I believe it now, and I know you believe it now. We need to put people in that same position. They need to know their kids have no future. They will have no retirement. They'll have no peace. They'll have no liberty. Send these videos out. Additionally, we are brought to you by Noble Gold, and the collapse is coming. We see the signs of it every single day. So what are we going to do? You're going to get your retirement out of the bank. You're going to back it with gold, brought to you by Noble Gold, and you're going to avoid the Dodd-Frank law that says the banks can steal your retirement. They can do the same thing with your bank account, so you need to diversify there. Precious metals is number one across the board. Gold is over 2,000. Silver went up dramatically today. You need to move in this direction. Move your money out of the bank, diversify your portfolio. Now, who can do this for you? Noble Gold can, but they don't want to pressure you. They make you make all the decisions. They just make the opportunities available with no push. So I want to send you a no obligation information packet that'll come to you electronically. All you have to do is go to davehodgesgold.com, davehodgesgold.com, and fill that out, and you'll get it, and you'll look at it and go, okay, this is something we need to be doing, and the number to call Noble Gold will be there. By the way, when you do a IRA or 401k conversion that qualifies, you'll get one of these beautiful 5-ounce silver coins as their way of saying thank you. Now you have to give the FTC disclaimer, and it goes like this. All investments carry an inherent risk, and past performance has nothing to do with future performance. And I agree with that warning. We should be issuing that. I will also say on behalf of Noble Gold, I've been advertising for them for just about 6 years, and 4.5 going on 5 years, I've been a customer. So I put my money where my mouth is. I practice what I preach. Noble Gold is as good as it gets. Go to davehodgesgold.com. Gold Save America. See, some of you thought, it's a misprint. He's trying to say God Save America. Oh, yeah, I agree. And God, more important than gold. But gold is the currency of God. It's the best currency in the history of the planet and still is today. And everyone knows it, except for the public, because you're lied to. Oh, the economy's fine. We're coming out of this just fine. This is what the bankers are all saying, the government officials minus Janet Yellen. They're all saying the same thing. Oh, another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. There's nothing to see. Keep throwing your money into the bank, and pretty soon it'll be 1929 for you. Countries are hoarding gold. Banks are hoarding gold and other precious metals. You know that old saying about when in Rome, do as those dang Romans do? I think you should be listening. This is why we're pushing the gold so hard right now. Your time is limited, and when your money is gone, all of 1929, it's gone forever. You know, you've heard me tell this story before. My mother was raised in a very rich family for a while. Then as a young child, they lost everything in the stock market and real estate. Actually, our family was related to the Ford family, but you know how much, shall I say, how generous he was to people. He could have cared less. And so my family went from riches to rags on my mom's side. So when you look at this situation here, I don't want you to repeat what my mom had to go through. She had TB as a kid, confined to her bed. My uncle was out begging for food on the streets of Marshalltown, Iowa. Yeah, this was really a bad deal for my family. And, you know, you've heard me talk about my wife and I and how we view debt. We avoid debt like the plague. Well, I was raised by parents that very much believed in that. And the real lessons came from the Depression, and then my father's family having to leave Germany, and the confiscation of a lot of their assets from the government. Yeah, I grew up with an interesting background that really prepared me to do some of this work. I don't want that to happen to any of you. So DaveHodgesGold.com. Look it over, consider it prayerfully, but whatever you do, you cannot leave your money in the bank as a whole 100% investment, because you will be disappointed. Hey, we have a great TV show. We really do. We have a great TV show, thecommonsenseshow.tv, and we cover issues like this. And one thing I want to leave you with, there's a reason why I have this saying: food, water, guns, gold, ammo. You need the guns and the ammo for the people that didn't prepare for the food, water, and gold. Natural medicine, because you ain't getting nothing from China after a while. Tools, yeah, good idea, because there's no calling the repairman. So this is why we have that mantra: guns, gold, ammo, natural medicine, and tools. There's more to prepping, but this is the prepper's delight. And I'm sincerely urging you to make your move to extricate most of your funds from the bank. God bless all of you. We'll see you back here next time.
This is Dabu7. A heads up here as it's hitting the fan, so to speak. We have an acceleration here of the banking crisis, picking back up. Regional banks said to be in free fall. A total collapse in regional banks as it's being put over here on Zero Hedge. And you can see when you go looking that banks like PacWest down 36%, Western Alliance down 31%, Metropolitan Bank down 27%, Home Street down 23%. You've got others that are down big too: Zion, KeyCorp, Harbor One, Citizens Financial. It's happening. And this whole thing has been happening in slow motion. So much so that it's almost like boiling the frog. And the people, if they think everything's fine for a second, well, then they're not taking their money out of the bank. And the banks can then shuffle around and start to make moves. And as we just saw, the FDIC coming out giving this huge loan to JP Morgan to save the day here within the past 48 hours of another massive bank collapse to take place. That was the second largest in U.S. history. There are massive moves being made here. The stock market itself down today some 500 points. That could rise. That could rise all throughout the day up to closing. Who knows what that may hit? But right now it's 500. We have this big Fed decision looming on what they're going to do. And they've done wrecked this thing bad enough. They could make a call today that sends it spiraling down even more. So even though some people don't like to pay attention to the banking stuff and the financials, this is very important. Our whole world is crumbling, and it's by design. Our dollar is losing its reserve currency status. Inflation is just destroying it minute by minute. And as we see in China and Russia, their inflation is nowhere near what's happening here. And as I reported on the live stream, China's economy is now booming and picking up as things seem to be falling apart here in America, all by design. I hope you have a good barter system put together, whether it's silver, gold, precious metals, or just items. You need some kind of system put together. It is key. From here on, my last warning here, you better get ready for what's coming. This is all to tear this thing down during this great reset and to replace it with the CBDC so every country can be connected into the beast system. IMF just released their monetary unit, this global unit. It's going down, man. I cover this on the live streams, man. Join us there.
Greetings to all of you and God bless you today. I hope everybody's doing well. Folks, I'm going to keep saying it every time I come on here. Jesus is coming, and Jesus is coming one day very, very, very soon. Folks, I can't keep up with everything. Things are moving so fast, pointing to the soon rapture of the Church of Jesus Christ and the commencement of Daniel's 70th week, the time of Jacob's trouble, the 7-year tribulation period. If you've been watching my videos, recently I just did a video on King Charles and how his coronation is supposed to happen this coming Saturday, May 6th. And I tried to connect the dots with you guys on how King Charles is connected to the whole Great Reset agenda, which is basically, again, where they want to reset the entire world, to talk about a new world order, and how he's a huge pusher of and promoter of Agenda 2030, how they want to have a one world government in place by the year 2030, but they've recently come out and said that they want to accelerate Agenda 2030. And here we go. I wanted to share this with you today. I wanted to connect the dots even more, folks, so you can see where this is going. This is recently in from the Gateway Pundit. King Charles and the globalists set meeting for September, this September 2023, to plot how to accelerate the goals of the UN Agenda 2030 and the complete digitization of humanity. Listen to this, folks. The World Economic Forum and United Nations are so concerned that the goals of Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development, and the Great Reset are in jeopardy and not being fulfilled by the appointed date that they have called for a summit in September, this September of 2023, to discuss how they can kickstart their stalled totalitarian agenda. I mean, folks, you can't make this stuff up. The United Nations is involved in this. You have the United Nations, King Charles, Klaus Schwab, which is the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. You're also going to have Yuval Noah Harari and other world leaders, globalists, and elite that will be in attendance at this coming summit, which is going to be held this September 2023. Connect the dots. They're all connected, folks. The actors, again, just before the play occurs, the actors, the actresses, the props, they're all getting put in position for the final act. The empire of the Antichrist is coming, folks. The rapture of the Church of Jesus Christ will occur before the Antichrist is revealed and before the tribulation period begins. However, we are continuing to see all these players aligning together, just like this summit that's going to be coming in September. Again, you're going to have King Charles, the United Nations, Klaus Schwab, the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, Yuval Noah Harari, and other globalist world leaders and elites all gathering together this September 2023 to talk about how they're going to accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2030. And when you look at the Great Reset Agenda and Agenda 2030, folks, this has tribulation written all over it. And that's where this is all headed, folks. And if we see the actors, the actresses, the props continuing to all be put in position for the final act, for the coming empire of the Antichrist, and we know that the rapture of the Church of Jesus Christ needs to occur before the Antichrist is revealed and before the tribulation period begin, how close are we to the rapture? I would say a lot closer than people realize. And all I can tell you is if you're watching this video right now and you don't have Jesus Christ in your life, just look around the world right now at everything occurring and look at what your Bible says. You will see several things are true. The Bible is real. The Bible is alive. Jesus is real. Jesus is alive. And Jesus is coming back, and he is coming back one day very, very, very soon.
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. Pastor Dow here. Listen, First Signature Republic Bank, First Republic Bank Signature, whatever way you want to call it, failed. Another bank failed under the Biden administration. Think about this now. With all these banks that are failing, big banks, mind you, these supposed to be big banks that are too big to fail. So what's going on? J.P. Morgan, boy, ain't Jamie Dimon something. They absorbed it. Isn't that something? So guess what? You know that we've always talked about this. And they don't like hearing it. And we have been squawking about this for 20-something years. And now it's time to really press in and lean in on this. I told y'all that we are heading towards a one world government, a one world global economy, and a one world system. And it's all going to be headed up by the man of sin. But before he comes, everything is going to be put into place. And then for those of us who are students of the word, students of the scripture, we know what's planned, what's going on, what's taking place. And this is just nothing for us, just prophecy being fulfilled. It's just letting us know. And pretty soon, you know what I mean? People are going to throw their worthless assets out in the streets. You know, the book calls it gold and silver back then because gold and silver is the only real money that there ever is. It's only constitutional money that there is. But when it said that back then, that's because that was the only money that there was. They're going to be throwing their worthless paper dollars out in the streets because it's going to be worthless. You know, like the Zimbabwe dollar is, it ain't worth nothing. Trillions of dollars, you can't even buy a loaf of bread with it. Yep, hyperinflation. That's what we headed. That's what we're in for. That's what we're doing. So what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get all these big banks, they're going to fail. Then they're going to start going after the mom and pop small country banks. And before they started heading towards the mom and pop small country banks to get them all up under one or two banking systems, we know that J.P. Morgan apparently is going to be the one that's going to actually lead the way because they ain't failing. They must got it, man, I'll tell you. But you know what the reason why this bank failed, right? Again, toxic balance sheet. On what? Mortgages, bad home loans, bad. Hey, and it's going to get worse because we got everything going up and nobody owns anything hardly. Everybody think that's crazy when they think they got you thinking that you own a home and you're paying a note on it. You ain't no different than somebody paying rent. It's crazy. I know. Well, Pastor, now, don't give me that. You know, I'm the last one to bellyache and cry over because I told y'all and I have showed y'all over the years what to do and how to do it. And very few people out of the thousands, the hundreds of thousands that listen to me, very few people actually take heed to it because we get comfortable, we get in a rut, and we just love the way things are going. We just love it. And when we love the way things are going, you can't nobody say nothing to you. Nobody can say nothing at all to anyone. And it's hard and difficult, extremely difficult, trying to talk to a people that don't want any direction, because the direction is painful. The instruction is painful. Listen, anything that you do in life, you're going to have to suffer. And if you're trying to sit up there and put off the pain and stuff and avoid the suffering, that's the only way you're going to gain. That's an old saying we used to say in the gym years ago: no pain, no gain. And it's just the truth. So this time, you're going to be suffering pain, and it's going to be extraordinary loss. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be bad, extremely bad. And it's so sad, because it's going to be a weeping howl that go all across this land, all across this world, all across this system, because it's going to be it's going to be a one world bank. It is. It's going to happen. It's going to be a one world government. But what you need to do is position yourself so that you don't have to be dependent upon this system. More banks are going to fail. So what is the solution? You know, I don't never make videos like this without giving you a solution. You may not like it, but I'm going to give you a solution. Listen, you have to diversify your portfolio. You have to. Gold, silver, FDIC. Look, they're going to bail out the airlines. They're going to bail out the banks. But you and I, hell no. We're going to be left with the bag and the short end of the stick. You ain't getting no bailout. So since they said that they insure deposits up to $250,000, if you have more than that in the bank, then diversify. Open up another bank, put some more in it, up to $250,000, not $250,000. And then if you got more than that, then get 10 banks, 20 banks if you got that kind of bank. I don't. But if you got that kind of bank, do not put all your eggs into one damn basket. I even got to take a note out of that. I mean, I constantly have said it over the years. Do not put your eggs into one basket. Diversify. And that doesn't mean go buy one stock and then go buy a blade of grass. You need to go out there and diversify: gold, silver, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. I mean, you need to get something, whatever it takes. You need to diversify, because this system is not going to help you. It's only going to help itself. Know what's happening, know what's going on. And hey, they even predicting, look how worthless cash is right now. Even Argentina, they as insolvent as they are. Even Argentina themselves are going to be sitting up here going into the BRICS nations. Everybody is going against the dollar. China is gaining a lot of favor, garnering a lot of favor with a lot of people. Man, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be really ugly. It really, truly is. Well, I only can hope that you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, because I don't need to talk about it again until I'm getting blue in the face. You just need to become a people of doing, action, word. That's all there is to it. Anyway, hope it says something to stimulate thought. But more and more banks are going to fail. You can believe that. You may want to actually start taking some cash out of the banks, to tell you the truth, and then put it in your bank that's guarded by Smith & Wesson, Staccato, Glock. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the most secure that there is. At least one thing, you don't have to worry about a bank run, because you got the bank. You don't have to worry about going. Listen, let's just be reasonable here. If you got your money in somebody else's bank, then who owns the money? I know we use this to, function in this world, to pay bills, to do all this other stuff. I don't trust these dogs. Do you?
Death of the dollar. And then there's a tombstone, and it says, "Rest in peace, in God we don't trust." The dollar, it's over. The United States became the nation that our founding fathers fought against. We became Great Britain. The sun never sets on the British Empire. We'll kill people all over the world and steal what we want to steal in the name of nobility. We're going to bring freedom and democracy all around the world, America says. You think we invaded Iraq because their major export was broccoli? Or stealing the oil from Syria? Oh, we're getting those ISISes as well. We became what they became. And when you see what happened to the UK, their pound dissolved after World War I because of all the wars that they fought. And America's done the same exact thing.
Talk to me about your thoughts on the BRICS.
If China didn't have a zero COVID policy, we were forecasting that China was going to be the largest economy in the world within 7 years. This has really slowed it down. China and Russia have united. The BRICS have united. They are tired of the West running the world. And there are more of them than us. It's all in the numbers. When you're looking at China, and again, it's just baloney, you know, that, oh, their birth rate is going down. You got 1.4 billion people over there. You got 332 million in America. You got, what, about 40 million in Europe. It's all about the numbers. So when you start putting all the BRICS in, and then you start bringing in the other countries, you know, Indonesia and on and on and on. No, the future is going in that direction. The business of China is business, as with their, you know, their brick road, their road initiative, you know, built what they've done. The business of America is war. So as America and Europe, and again, I just read to you what Stoltenberg is saying, what all the Europeans are doing, putting more and more and more and more and more money into the military, as the other countries are putting more and more and more money into building their economies.
Right.
Death of the dollar. And that's what's going to happen. It's the death of the dollar. In God we don't trust. That's the American way. As soon as the Fed stops raising interest rates, the dollar is going to start weakening. And the more they lower them, the weaker it's going to get. And the world is tired, outside of Europe, of United States hegemony, be it on the military end or the economic end. How could America say, listen, I want all those commodities based on dollars. I'm in charge. No, no, no. Bretton Woods is long over. This is a whole new world. World War II is ancient history for young people. It was, what, 77 years ago. You know, you're not the leader of the world anymore. And so they have had it with the dollar. They've had it with America. The BRICS are uniting against the United States as well.
I mean, obviously the US is looking at this thinking, how do we maintain our superpower status here if the BRICS keep growing?
And that's what I'm saying. When all else fails, they take you to war. I talked about what Roosevelt did in 1941. What happened before that? There was a thing called the Great Depression. When all else fails, they take you to war. Go back to the dot-com bust. Again, in our Trends Journal magazine, October 1999, the headline, dot-com bust. Busted in March of 2000. Oh, you mean the day before 9/11, the NASDAQ was only down 66%. 9/11 happens, all forgotten. We'll create a new fake thing. We'll have a fake real estate market, a derivatives thing. We'll make up anything we can. So that's what we're saying. The United States isn't about the bottom line. The United States way out is with war. I mean, look, you can't make this stuff up. Look at the guy that's plays the United States Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. What was he? Oh, he was a general. No, after he became a general, you mean he sat on the board of directors of Raytheon, the second largest defense contractor in the United States? Oh, by the way, look at their stocks since this has gone up. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, all the defense contractors. Boom, boom, boom. So that's where the United States is going. China and the BRICS are going in another direction. And then going back to gold. Look at all the gold that was bought up by the central banks in 2022. It's all about interest rates. The higher interest rates went, the stronger the dollar got. Now remember, the interest rates went up from 0, and they created trillions and trillions and countless trillions of dollars of debt to fight the COVID war. And now what do we have? A $30.7 trillion debt level. When you put the real numbers in, it's about $280 trillion. But we'll stay with the $30.7 trillion. And now you raised interest rates. Now you got to pay more on your debt. So going back to the dollar went up because interest rates went up. When interest rates go up, the dollar's going to go down, and it's going to be the beginning of the end of the dollar. And our forecast is gold prices are going to spike above $2,200 an ounce. Because the only reason gold is down is because of the dollar. They're trying to do everything they can to prop up the markets. They have this fictitious thought, and all of the currencies are doing it, that if you devalue your currency, then you're going to be able to export your product, and people are going to buy because it's going to be cheaper. What they're not putting together is that there's a global slowdown. Commodity prices are crashing, and currencies are plunging because there's a global slowdown. Oh, China is the canary in the mine shaft, in the equity mine shaft. And that is, we're looking at a global equity meltdown. And we have said it's going to happen before the end of this year. And remember, the government propped that market up, and 80% of the people playing that market are retail investors, just small players. They don't know what they're doing, and they're trying to salvage the country in any way they can. You go back and you read their reports. We're not going to do anything to stimulate. We're not going to do anything to stimulate. Oh, you're not? You're going to keep cutting interest rates? You're going to keep cutting reserve currencies? They're desperate. This is act of desperation.
Okay guys, I'm going to have to show one of these videos here. He's talking about the BRICS killing dollar and only 5 U.S. banks coming from Prophecy with Stan. Since this other gentleman talked about the BRICS, I'm going to just put this in the description box, guys, and let you go see what he's saying about the BRICS, Stan Johnson. But I'm going to head over to his other video that I want you guys to see. Because I don't have much time, and it's about the silver guys, okay? The silver. Let me see if I can find my silver. The silver, okay? So I'm kind of interested in it because I haven't heard it. So let's go and listen to the one about, is silver about to skyrocket? And this is today's video that he did. And then we will get into the other one. I will definitely put it in the description box, guys. We'll put it in the description box, okay, about the BRICS killing the dollar. So let's go ahead and do that now. After that, I will get into You Be Ready, and then we get into missions and the Bible, and time is flying. So I hope I have enough time to cover all this stuff, but I want to cover it anyway. So let's go ahead and get started here with this by Stan Johnson. Can't play the whole video, guys, just a little portion of it. It's 37 minutes. I'm just going to probably play about 10 minutes of it, okay? So, and then get into the other material. So let me go ahead and mute out again.
Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is asking the question, is silver about to skyrocket? Because this is something we have been watching, and there's a very real possibility it is now about to happen. And I'm going to start with a disclaimer because I'm going to be saying some so very important things today. And that disclaimer is, this is not a financial program, and I'm not giving financial advice. This is a prophecy program. If you want financial advice, I'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. They're Christians, prophecy students, and they can give you some financial advice. I suggest that, you don't have to do anything immediately. Just call them and say, okay, here's my situation. What do you recommend? And just listen, see what they have to say, see if they can help you out. Okay. Now, this is really important And so since it's so important, I'm going to back up and cover more of this in detail. So now, Shane Warren came to speak at Prophecy Club on July 10th of 2012. He made a DVD called Judgment Storm and something. It's at watchprophecyclub.com, or if you want to, you can get the DVD at prophecyclub.com. But he was talking about how he had had a vision back in 2010. Now, one thing from that vision has already come to pass. Now, that validates the whole vision, and we're about to talk about it. So he said, I saw in this vision that I saw from like a satellite image looking down on America, a storm covering from north, south, east, and west all across America. Now we know that storm was a financial storm, but I don't think it's just financial. I think it's also rioting. He reached down, he saw the anchor reach down and pick up a fist of dollar bills. He said, it's raining dollar bills. It's almost like they're worthless. So our dollar is heading to be worthless. So says Maurice Sklar, Dana Coverstone, and probably a couple, well, at least one other one, Daniel Davis. Then he said he saw an earthquake in the New Madrid Fault, which is up the heartland of America, and he said he heard a booming voice speak from behind him saying, they divided my land. Now I will divide their land. And we also see that there's a real push. Now the Chinese are stepping in trying to help this Palestinian get a state. Then he saw India, Syria, Indonesia, Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, Russia, China, almost straight out of the newspapers these days, discussing how to devalue the dollar by buying oil in another currency. That started taking place August 24th of 2022, when the Saudis opened the door to start selling their oil in something other than the dollar, which had not happened since the 1970s. So it's a really, really big fulfillment. Then he said the devaluing of the dollar caused major rioting in the streets. I saw riots in major cities, and we've already seen that, but apparently nothing like what he saw. It's about to get a lot worse. I saw riots in major cities, and on their signs was written, give us our entitlements. Give us our entitlements. Now, what is an entitlement? That's something that either the federal government owes you or has promised to give you. Now, owes you would probably be like Social Security. We were forced to take money out of our own pocket, put it into Social Security for the days when our hair starts turning gray. But then there's another group, those people that are welfare recipients, and also those people that are getting free medical and free pills and things like that. While we didn't all pay into all of that, we still consider it an entitlement. So what they're saying is they're going to shut off those. That's very, very big. The vision went on to say, I saw an incredible changes in the prices of currency. Okay, we're about to see that. And that's the whole point of this program today. I saw silver, not gold, but silver began to drastically increase in value, not gold, but silver. Now, the question today, there's a guy out there, and I'm about to show you, that says that silver may reach $600 an ounce. Well, hey, I mean, right now it's at $25 roughly. If it just reached $250 an ounce, well, what about $500? Okay, so you paid $25 for it, it hits $250, that's 10 times income. It hits $500, what's that, 20 times more? Okay, so that's huge. I saw silver, not gold, but I saw silver begin to drastically increase in value, which to me is just against my natural thinking because he's a preacher. I saw that with the riots that began to break out, major cities all over America broke out in riots. People rioting in the streets, their signs said, give us our entitlements. He says, I mean, it was literally war. I mean, it looked like civil war within our borders, and it was all over the issue of the devaluing of our money. In this meeting, these world leaders were talking about how to devalue the currency of America by buying oil in another currency. Well, duh. So I would even say 2 of about 4 prophecies in this have already come to pass, in my opinion, it is time for even the skeptics to listen, bend their ears forward, pay attention. And if you have friends, especially the ones that have any money, and you're a watchman, you're commanded to warn them. You really need to send this out. I mean, not just click subscribe and click the bell, but you really need to click that share button. You really need to send it out to your friends, neighbors, relatives. Let's go on. Now, I've got a couple of articles before I get to the big one. Meanwhile, this was came out March 29th, a week or so ago. The petrodollar just got smaller today as the first LNG shipment between UAE and France is traded in yuan. So this is the first door where they're actually starting to sell crude oil, or in this case, LNG, or liquid natural gas, in something other than the dollar. So this proves, because they haven't done this since the 1970s. I mean, this was call for war if you sold some kind of a crude oil or its derivative in something other than dollar. And now they have done it. The exchange was aimed at a group purchasing services for liquefied natural gas through the use of the yuan, replacing the dollar. Are you listening? So here is the article that got me on this. So this guy says, red alert, buy physical silver. New Mexican law assures silver will blow past $600 an ounce. Now, that's his opinion, not mine. I'm a prophecy student, but this guy is kind of an expert in these things. And in the article he pulls up, he says, Mexico's new mining rules, and I'm about to show you some articles on that, will reduce future silver supplies in an already tight market. Investments will crater in mining. Hundreds of thousands of jobs are at risk. This will reduce future supply of silver as investments by mostly Canadian mining and exploration companies is reduced. Okay, so Mexico is going to reduce the number of silver ounces that they're producing each year. Well, supply and demand. What does that tell you the price of silver is going to do? It's going to start going up. And if it was just Mexico, in my opinion, that's enough to probably start causing it to rise drastically. But it's not just Mexico. Mexican president proposes tougher mining laws and shorter concessions. Now, this was him proposing it. If you look at the date, it's back March 29. But as of now, my understanding is it has passed. Not just a proposal anymore. The Mexican government's proposed overhauling of mining laws, including shorter concessions and tighter rules for permits. In other words, they're not letting the mines dig for as long, or they're not giving new permits for them to go out and dig for more, which is going to reduce the length of mining concessions from 50 years down to 15 is the way we would say it. Mexico, a major mining country for decades, is the world's top primary silver producer. I didn't know that. As well as a top 10 gold and copper miner. So a lot of the gold and silver, as a matter of fact, the number one silver producer in the world is Mexico. And they're openly saying they're going to be reducing the number of ounces that they're putting out. Well, what do you suppose is going to happen? Could provoke strong repercussions for the industry. Last year, the president championed the nationalization. They're talking about nationalizing some of these copper, gold, and silver mines. If they nationalize them, well, what they're about to say is that they're going to have to start giving money to the local whatever's around the mine. And that means also, if they nationalize it, that the nation gets a pretty good chunk out of that. That means what? Even if they produce the same amount, the price is going to what? It's going to go up. If they don't nationalize it, the price is still going to go up. Either way, the price is going to go up. In another article, Southern Silver trusts Mexico to consolidate a silver project. Southern Silver raised its working interest in a high-grade silver project in Durango. Now, this was back in 2020. But it says silver remains undervalued in the market. That's an important point. And in these days, they acquired 7 of the properties And they were already talking, this is back in 2020, talking about nationalizing lithium. Well, if it's only lithium that they nationalize, that means the price of our battery is going to be going up, price of electric cars is going to be going up, but it might not be just lithium. It might be silver too. Mexican state expeditiously approved set of laws, mining reform. So this is the article that says, yes, they did go ahead and approve it. The Mexican Senate approved in an express session on Saturday a package of laws including 2 constitutional reforms and a new mining law rebuked by the mining chamber and Canada. It's approved the laws in a fast-track process without opposition legislators present. Well, what this article didn't tell is the ones that were opposing it met in the normal chambers. Those that were approving it met in another location, and they simply approved it. So they just went around the people that were not wanting it. In other words, this, we've been watching since 2010. What in the world could make the price of silver skyrocket? Well, I don't know for certain that this is it, but I'm smart enough to say it could be it. It requires some mining profits to be returned to some of the local communities. And Mexico is not just the only one. Turns up, Chile is doing it too. Chile mining sector contracts 9% in March as copper production down 5%. So it says that copper is about to be in decline in Chile's mining and manufacturing sectors, and its domestic mining decreased by 8.7% in March, and Chile just happens to be the world's largest producer of copper. So it may be more than just silver starting to go up in price. And as you look at this article here, I'm going to show you some other articles, but essentially we're looking at Mexico, which by far is the #1 producer of silver. But it's not just Mexico. Also Peru, Bolivia, and Chile are all talking about lowering the amount of silver they're producing. Means the price of silver maybe about to skyrocket. Now, another thing, I didn't bring it up in an article, but I don't think I have to. So there's all kinds of millions and billions of dollars being pulled out of these banks, the ones that have failed for certain. But if anybody is thinking that their bank is not too secure these days, they're pulling their money out. Okay, now what are they going to do with it? They're not just pulling it out in bags of cash. What are they doing? They have to put it someplace where it's going to be good. Where would they put it? Well, they put it in gold or silver, maybe rhodium or palladium or something like that, but probably a lot of them are going to be putting it in silver because it may be that gold is in short supply, but apparently silver is about to be in even shorter supply. So let me ask you, so what happens if this guy's right? What happens if the price of silver does go to $600 an ounce? What happens if you're smart enough to listen to a prophecy program and you went to cornerstoneassetmetals.com and got yourself a nice chunk of silver? All of a sudden, the silver that you bought at, I don't know what, $25, $30, what is it? All of a sudden, it's even $300, $400, $600 an ounce? Oh my goodness. Oh my, I would say you're probably going to be pretty well set for the riots that are coming next.
Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. Today is April 30th, 2023. The Lord titled this word, the spigot. And the scripture he gave me is in John 7, verses 37 and 38, but we'll get to that. I'd like to first give a little background to this word. Over the last several weeks, the Lord has brought to my remembrance the word and vision he had previously given me about the 2 rivers, the Glory River and the Destruction River, flowing together side by side simultaneously. This word has been posted. I had been praying about it and waiting on the Lord to see if there was anything more he might want to say about this. Then on April 24th, I was informed by some of the subscribers to this channel that our brother and fellow servant of the Lord, Edward Umling, had spoken a word on his YouTube channel and had named me specifically. I knew of this brother and his channel, but I did not know him personally, nor have I ever had any contact with him before. The word he spoke to me from the Lord on April 24th was as follows. He said, "The spigot is being turned on right now. The spigot is being turned on. The name is Byron. It's a YouTuber bringing forth the word of God. The Lord says the spigot is being turned on. Get ready for it to flow, says the Lord." After hearing that word, I began seeking and asking the Lord what it meant and if it had anything to do with the two rivers. On Friday, April 28th, during my prayer time, the Lord gave me a vision of the spigot, and I have drawn out what I saw. This is the vision. The scene opened up to a side view of God's throne. It was very bright, and I was only able to make out the outline of the lower portion of the throne, but no other details. The upper portion was too bright for me to be able to see anything. As I looked closer, I saw a giant spigot that appeared as if it was plugged into the front lower portion of the throne. It was also bright, but I could make out the spigot and the handle portion on the top. I then saw a large hand extend out from the throne and touch the handle of the spigot and start to turn it on. What first began to flow out of the spigot looked like very dark, cloudy, dirty-looking water. I saw it flow down onto all the people who were below. The water kept flowing and created a large pool or area of water which became deep and began to cover all the people. I saw the words spelled out in the flow of the dark water. They were judgment, darkness, gloominess, and some other words that I wasn't quick enough to write down. Then suddenly, I saw the dark water that was flowing from the spigot begin to change its appearance, turning from dark and dirty to now clear and clean. As it continued to change over, it became more and more clear until it was crystal clear and sparkling. In the clear water, I saw the words glory, Jesus, healing, love, faith, and more. I heard the Lord say to me, "This is that spoken of by my servant." I asked about the flow from the spigot, and he said, "The flow is not a trickle, but a flood." I then saw that some of the people who were almost covered in the pool of dark water began to rise up. They appeared to be rising and floating above the pool of dark water up into the flow of clear water. However, this was only a small portion of the people, as the majority of the people remained covered in the dark water. Today, Sunday, April 30th, during my prayer time, the Lord spoke this word to me that goes with the vision he had shown me. The name of this word is the spigot. John 7, verses 37 and 38. In the last day, that great day of the feast, Jesus stood and cried, saying, "If any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water." And this is the word. My son, I have shown you what you ask. My servant shared the word I gave him for you, for I have turned on the spigot from my throne. Do not fear the judgments, for those I have chosen will float above the judgments as a cork does on water. My judgments have been flowing, and many in my body are too blind to see and know the times they are in. Many in my body will not float above the judgments, but will drown in the turmoil. My son, prepare my remnant to receive the glory that will flow from the spigot. They will receive a flood of my glory and walk as shining beacons in an ever-increasing flood of judgments. Prepare your hearts to walk in ways that have never been seen. My remnant, who I have been grooming for this time, will walk in the power of my spirit, touching my very throne. Fear not, my remnant, for the things coming upon this world, for evil men with evil hearts will try to subdue and crush my remnant. Some in my body will turn against my chosen remnant, They will mock, scorn, and eventually cause some of you to be killed. This persecution is now being birthed and will come to fruition in the days ahead. Stand strong, my remnant, for your training has been extensive and hard, yet you will rise above the judgments. My son, tell my remnant to soak up the glory. Tell my remnant to be ready in a moment's notice to reach the lost and to continue to preach the truth on media venues while available. The economy is ready to implode. Shout to my people to repent and to not allow the love of money to corrupt them. Be ready for anarchy and bloody civil war as the corrupt government moves on its people. Be prepared to share the gospel to the lost and fear not any reprisals, for I am with you. I love you all. It's time to step under the spigot and let my glory fill you. Shalom, the Father.
All right, praise the Lord, hallelujah, guys. Our missionaries are out in the field again. We're just looking at one here from Kenya. Roger and his wife. Godfrey and his wife. You know, she was kind of sick the other day, and she asked me to pray, and where she can feel better to go out. And I just prayed to the Lord, and she was up and bouncing and ready to go. And that's what they do. They, you know, if they sick, they whatever, they just jump up and get ready to go and do what they can do. Love working in the vineyard. He's now got his ministry license and all, so he's doing churches now. So just continue praying for the missionaries. I'm going to go on over here now and get on over to the Bible, guys, because time is really running. I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little over today. I'm already at 1 hour and 44 minutes, so we'll get through Revelation as quickly as we can. But this is what's going on, you know. Like I said, they're getting ready for the coronation. Okay, so I was just thinking about this chapter today, especially in Revelation 13:2. The beast that I saw was like a leopard. So we need to know that prophecy is fulfilling, guys. So, Father, be with us as we continue to sound the alarm through your message, through your word, through your scriptures. Let your Holy Spirit come join us right now as we read your word. Father, thank you so much for your love for us. We ask these blessings in the name of Yeshua, Messiah, Jesus Christ. So thank you for joining me today. We've been really on the road this week a little bit and kind of worn out a little bit, but I told my husband to join me. We just celebrated his birthday, and we had a wonderful birthday Sunday. So now we're going to just get into the word here together. So go ahead and read some.
In Revelation 13, we'll start in verse 1. And I stood on the sand of the seashore. Then I saw a beast coming up out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads. On its horns were 10 crowns, and on each of its heads was a blasphemous name. This beast I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's feet, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. The dragon gave his power to it, and his throne, and his great authority to rule. One of the beast's heads appeared to have been killed, but his fatal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. They also worshipped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast. They worshipped the beast too, and kept saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" The beast was given a mouth that could speak proud words and blasphemies. It was permitted to exercise authority for 42 months. So the beast opened its mouth to speak blasphemies against Yahweh, blaspheming his name, the place where he lives, and those who live in heaven. The beast was permitted to wage war with the believers and to conquer them. Also, authority was given to it over every tribe, people, and ethnicity. All who live on the earth will worship it, everyone whose name was not written since the creation of the world in the book of life, which belongs to the Lamb who had been slaughtered. If anyone has an ear, let him listen. If anyone is to be taken into captivity he will go. If anyone is to be killed with a sword he will be killed. Here's a call for patient endurance and faith for those who are set apart. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and it made the earth and those who live on it worship the first beast, the one whose lethal wound had been healed. It performed mighty miracles. It even made fire come down on the earth from heaven in front of the people. By the signs it was permitted to do in the presence of the beast, it deceived those who lived on the earth. It told them to make an image in honor of the beast that had the sword wound but lived. It was permitted to give breath to the beast's image, so that the image would even speak and cause all who refused to worship the image of the beast to be killed. It also forced everyone, unimportant and mighty, rich and poor, free and slave, in order to give them a mark on the right hand or on the forehead. It was impossible for anyone to buy or sell unless he had the mark or the name of the beast, that is, the number representing its name. This calls for wisdom. If anyone has insight, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a human being. His number is 666.
All right, guys, we got to watch out for Sabbath coming. And my husband said they would do it on a Sabbath, the coronation and all the things that's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Oh, I'm touching the wrong thing. I'm going to go on and end this video now with Mark, Satan impersonates Christ. And then we're going to let you guys go real quickly here because time is really running. Okay.
July 16, Satan impersonates Christ.
Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. Luke 21:8. In this age Antichrist will appear as the true Christ, and then the law of God will be fully made void in the nations of our world. Rebellion against God's holy law will be fully ripe, but the true leader of all this rebellion is Satan, clothed as an angel of light. Men will be deceived and will exalt him to the place of God and deify him, but omnipotence will interpose, and to the apostate churches that unite in the exaltation of Satan the sentence will go forth. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Disguised as an angel of light, Satan will walk the earth as a wonder worker. In beautiful language he will present lofty sentiments. Good words will be spoken by him, and good deeds performed. Christ will be personified, but on one point there will be a marked distinction. Satan will turn the people from the law of God. He will declare that the Sabbath has been changed from the seventh to the first day of the week, and as Lord of the first day of the week he will present this spurious Sabbath as a test of loyalty to him. It is impossible to give any idea of the experience of the people of God who shall be alive upon the earth when celestial glory and a repetition of the persecutions of the past are blended. They will walk in the light proceeding from the throne of God. By means of the angels there will be constant communication between heaven and earth, and Satan, surrounded by evil angels and claiming to be God, will work miracles of all kind to deceive, if possible, the very elect. God's people will not find their safety in working miracles, for Satan will counterfeit the miracles that will be wrought. God's tried and tested people will find their power in the signs spoken of in Exodus 31:12-18. They are to take their stand on the living word. It is written. This is the only foundation upon which they can stand securely.
Yep, better know the word, guys. Better know the word for yourself. Better read it for yourself. We can have anything happen anytime. Explosions and derailments, explosions, with all the things going on. The money dying, the dollars dying, the silver coming in. Hopefully, they got bitcoins. They got all kind of things. We got a solar eclipse coming in, a lunar eclipse coming in. I think around this weekend. I don't even know if it's Friday or Sabbath. We know the words of Daniel and all of them in the Bible. These prophets of old told the truth about what's coming. So we need to get ready, get ready, get ready. I hope you are always trying to support your homeless in your area. So I'm going to go ahead and close out now, and we're going to go ahead and let you guys go. I really just going to say download Gene's free eBible from lulu.com, smashwords.com, scripd.com, and fmcmi.org. Read the Son of Man Bible PDF for free. Download the Son of Man Bible computer Bible modulars free. Download free at biblesupport.com and wordmodulars.com. Thank you for all your wonderful offerings. We went to the mailbox today and we're so happy to see offerings. Okay, so really appreciate the offerings to help the homeless, the orphans, the widows, those in need in the mission fields. May YAH richly bless each and every one of you for all your goodness and your givings. FMCMI alternative channels, rumble.com, bitshoot.com, facebook.com, fmcmi.org at our blog. Also donate by Cash App, fmcmi.org. Other donation options on marner.campbell@gmail.com at PayPal. Mail in your donations to Fill My Cup Ministries, Post Office Box 414, Canon City, Colorado 81215. If you ship anything to us in a box, you have to use this address: Fill My Cup Ministries, 1501 Main Street, number 414, Canon City, Colorado 81212. And click subscribe, the like bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the like button, click the notification bell. Our digital business card, Mo Son of Man Bible links, and also our hashtags. So I'm going to go ahead and go, guys. We really went over a little bit today. I think the highest yet. But I'm glad to be here with you guys today again. And I'm going to go ahead and let my husband end with a short prayer. So guys, get ready, be ready, stay ready. That's all I can say. We need to go to the Lord for help. If you are not a born again believer, you need to become one today. So I'm gonna go ahead and let my husband just pray right now, because time is really running out, guys. Time is really running out. So just go ahead and pray, and we'll let them go.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for everybody gets to view the video today. We thank you for all the work you're still doing around the world, still saving souls right up to the end here, Father. We just thank you for that. But boy, you are certainly welcome to send Yeshua down here anytime you want, because we are all ready to come home. Father, we give you all the praise and all the glory and the thanks for all your workers out there around the world. You got missionaries and missionary sending agencies and people doing wonderful work building your congregation around the planet. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Yeah, thank you, Father, for all the givers. We really appreciate them, and just supply all they needs too, according to your riches and glory, whether it's physical, mentally, spiritually. And we will see you guys in another video. We love you so much. Thank you for the prayers, guys. I'm telling you, you don't know how good it make me feel when I can get an email and put all the prayer warriors at work. And thank you so much for your prayers, because it really helps me. It helped the situation out tremendously. God is blessing. God is hearing. So we all pray for you as well. So we're going to just say shalom, shalom. And I love you guys so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.